Hey kids, howdy and welcome once again to Conscious Embodiment, Astrology and Dreams with Dr. Michael Lennox. That's me. I'm here with Zoe. It's November 17th. It's New Moon Week. We're ending a crazy lunar cycle this week, Zoe, and starting another one.
Starting another crazy one? Because it's still Mercury in retrograde, right?
Well, yeah, Mercury's in retrograde, and the next new moon is Scorpio-based, right? So it's more depth and, transformation and whatever. So before we get there, though, let's go into, both announcements and a question. But here's my announcement, Zoe. I think you're going to be surprised. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised about this announcement. But on Sunday, the 23rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time, I am doing a webinar on the astrology of the USA.
Okay, wow.
Yeah,
I am surprised.
No, I mean, it's surprising because I've never done this. I mean, the most I ever really did in the election experience like this is that in 2015, I thought Donald Trump would win because I looked at nothing fancy. I didn't dig. I didn't dive in. Just looked at their charts. She was having a really bad week that week, and he was having a really good week that week. And I thought, well, I think he might win. It's not my way to use astrology like this, though I recognize its, accuracy. It's wild. So while I was preparing for next year's forecast, which I'll be doing on January 1st on New Year's Day, I thought about the USA and the Pluto return, and I wanted to look at a thing or two to maybe say something about that in my forecast. And then I just went down the fucking rabbit hole, and I was so, I don't know, excited and horrified at how the movement of the outer planets are telling the story that we are in. And it actually felt like an opportunity to offer some guidance through astrology to ground you in the way that astrology can, and also, make sure you understand the ways that astrology cannot. We can't predict what's going to happen, but we can use the rhythm of the process, understand where we are, where we've come from, and therefore what we're sort of headed to between now and 2028. So 90 minutes or so, Sunday morning at 10. There's a small exchange, $11.99. You can go to my website, michaellennox.com. There's a banner right in the middle of the page to get your seat, and you can use the recording. But I can't wait because I'm excited about it in a way that surprised the shit out of me. But I can't wait to share what I've seen and learned. And so come and join me on Sunday. Now, in the spirit of Pluto, our question this week is about Pluto's movement through various signs over the years. And it was Pluto and the Pluto return of the United States chart that sort of led me to the idea of looking further, because Pluto is ridiculously powerful and reflects things at a lot of different levels. And this is one of them that I don't talk about much, but what an opportunity to do so from a note from Jenna. Hi, Dr. Lennox, and hi, Zoe, with a little wave. Thank you for your podcast. I love how you weave astrology and psychology together so insightfully. I was born, she gives her birth date, which is had Pluto at 3 degrees of Scorpio, so she's the Pluto in Scorpio generation, and was a senior in high school on 9/11. Nearly the whole Pluto in Scorpio generation was still in state-mandated school that day. Kids watching adults around us spiral, unable to offer safety or answers. The Pluto in Libra group was in college or just entering the workforce. And the Pluto in Virgo, that's me, were often the parents or teachers trying to hold it all together. We often hear millennials, the Scorpio, Pluto and Scorpio, air quotes, need to grow up. But from a trauma-informed lens, what if part of us is still frozen in that moment, still carrying the same roles or survival patterns we took on that day? So many of us became caretakers overnight, learning early that safety was fragile and that adults didn't have the answers. Could that be part of why so many millennials carry deep mistrust or hyper responsibility, and why Pluto and Virgo may still see us as the kids who need their direction? It's like the dynamic from that day never fully reset. They remain the authority figures, and we remain the ones holding our breath, trying to make sense of the chaos.
preach.
Would love to hear your thoughts on this, astrologically, psychologically, and collectively. Sending you love and light.
No notes.
Jenna, right? First of all, Jenna, no notes. Like, I could literally go on from here,
Yeah.
and I think my audience would be satisfied because, honey, you freaking nailed it. So indeed, Pluto takes about 20 years to move through a sign, so he is in fact a generational planet.
And I can speak from the millennial standpoint. I think she's spot on.
Spot on. And I love that you're there, and I'm the, listen, I don't like to call myself a boomer, and I wasn't raised like like boomers were. I was raised like millennials were, right? Because, single family, crazy mother. And the fucking boomers are just so insufferable, except those of us who are the parents and the authority figures, because this is a generation of service, functionality, repair, just like Virgo is. Perfectionism and anxiety is the shadow of this generation. But this is where we created frameworks for culture. And it was the 60s, so it was where the revolutionary sensibility busted through. Followed by the Pluto and Libra generation, like 71 to 84. That's about, justice and mediation. This is the divorce generation. Like, these are the kids like me who were raised as feral because our parents, this is when you got a TV spot every night at 10 p.m. in the East Coast. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Because those fucking parents, like mine, had to be reminded that they had kids. Then we get the Scorpio generation, like 83 to 95. That's you. And it's the Scorpio generation. So it is, in fact, the generation of trauma and death, born into crisis, designed to hold and carry crisis. So Jenna's right when there's a sense that your generation, Zoe and Jenna, and some friends of mine, your job as a generation is to receive and hold and carry the trauma. And because you were born in the age of Scorpio with Pluto, you have it in you. The generation has it in them to carry it. But man, oh man, is that a generational burden. So the through line, Virgo fixes, Libra balances, Scorpio transforms, and now we're in a new generation. The kids that are born now will be part of the Aquarius generation, and when they grow up, they are the population that generates the age of Aquarius, like boots on the ground. This episode is all about Pluto, and again, not planned, but the new moon on Wednesday is ruled by Pluto. It's the Scorpio new moon, sun and moon in Scorpio, towards the tail end, 28 degrees. So Pluto has like rulership over the entire lunar cycle ahead. So yes, it's a lunar cycle that is very connected to the deep and profound changes that Pluto is directing. Uranus is in charge of the fast and unstable changes, and I'll get to them in a minute because the new moon is opposing Uranus in Taurus. Pluto is trining Uranus, which means slow change and fast change are working very well together in this new moon. And the way Pluto is dialing into the sun and moon is in that sextile that's created in an easy opposition. What that means is we start off a lunar cycle, we set intentions from a place of deep change and transformation and a willingness to go through the deaths that lead to rebirths. And Pluto in a sextile from his perch in Aquarius means that if we pick up the energy of change and transformation willingly, this lunar cycle has the capacity to really rework a lot about how we're all walking and talking. And Uranus, as I said, slow change, fast change, both in the mix. Now, Black Moon Lilith has been hanging out for a while connected to the Grand Water Trine that was, activated in the last new moon. This is a long-held Grand Water Trine because you've got Jupiter retrograde in Cancer, not moving very fast. Saturn and Neptune are holding the other corner, and they move very, very slowly, so they're at the tail end of Pisces. And the Scorpio end is where all of the different players have shifted, meaning when we had the new moon in Libra, Mercury and Mars were conjunct in Scorpio. Venus swiped through, at some point in the weeks past, but Black Moon Lilith, that moves very slowly, has been holding tight to this Grand Water Trine. She was a part of the Grand Water Trine in the last new moon, and she is again this one. What this means is if Jupiter is holding the possibility of beautiful expansion that comes from what you want to birth into this life, the trine to Saturn tells us we have the inspiration needed to build something new and fabulous, and the structure maker, Saturn, that gives us the bricks and the trowels to build the new structure. So Black Moon Lilith's piece in the Grand Water Trine is just the message that nobody gets anything for free. And in Scorpio, it's like the promise of Scorpio is new life and new birth. And the cost is you got to die. So Black Moon Lilith is like a sexy death feminine consciousness of deep change and transformation who says, come this way and I'll show you who you really are. And if you allow that frightening visit to your shameful places, you'll see that there is no shame, and that shame is, something that can be let go of. And as you do, you become more powerful. So that trine makes this whole fall deep with personal shadow work. That notion is as maybe more so built into this lunar cycle than even last one, because the kickoff is the sun and moon in Scorpio. Now, Mercury is playing a very direct role in this new moon. He's still retrograde, and he's in Scorpio, and he's exactly conjunct the sun and the moon at the moment of the lunation. This provides a couple of different sort of benefits. One, just having the planet of mind and perception and thought along with the new moon makes our capacity to use mind and thought to set intentions with a lot more power, because the intention setting mechanism is Mercury, and the conscious awareness to hold it is the sun, and the unconscious that's needed to make it occur is the moon. Also, within about 12 hours or so, maybe a little more, the next day, on the 20th, in the wee hours, is the inferior conjunction, the most important day in the Mercury retrograde cycle, where Mercury down below connects with the sun up above, and our conscious awareness is able to see and perceive truths that we would not otherwise be able to see, right? Because Mercury's in the unconscious. That gives an even more sort of integrated power to set intentions that not only vibrate with what your conscious awareness is of what you want to create and what you desire. The unconscious is doubly represented in this new moon, because the moon always represents our connection to the unconscious mind, and Mercury is in the below. Outside of intention setting, you also want to be looking around for all of the kooky, trickstery ways that Mercury communicates to us, because Wednesday and Thursday are, and Friday a little bit too, are moments when there might be messages from below that Mercury will deliver in a trickstery way, like synchronicities and happy accidents and Freudian slips. So because Scorpio and Pluto sort of are the folks who invented death itself, the new moon in Scorpio asks us, what are we willing to die for in order to create what we desire for ourselves and the world around us? Venus is in Scorpio too. So our emotional bodies are ready to receive and handle more change, more transformation, more mini little deaths and rebirths inside of our little psyches. So I know all of us wanted to lighten up, and people keep saying, "When's it going to lighten up?" And it's like I either don't answer or I say, I don't know, not
It's
soon.
like more Scorpio, more,
Right. Right. And so I want to keep reminding you that, like, the astrology didn't come here to, persecute you.
Right.
We're
right.
all in this same sort of river together, and it's the river of the psyche and soul of the collective unconscious. So we're part of it. It's what it is.
Yeah.
And we have the fortitude to handle it, even though on a day-to-day basis, it often feels like we don't. So before I talk about the little sextile that's perfected this week, that's part of the new moon, I just want to also sort of mention a new moon in Scorpio can be used to shore up your inner grit, to say, okay, yes, I accept the transformations. I set intentions to be able to contain and hold them with less troubling intensity. And so it is, or something like that. So I didn't talk about this specifically in the new moon, although the perfection of this angle is on Thursday, right after the new moon, and it's part of the energy for the whole lunar cycle, and really this whole year and next year, because the outer planets are holding this space. So in all of the grand sextile that's been held this year by Pluto and then Uranus and Saturn and Neptune, has generated the capacity for the change that we're living through. Perfection of angles is a slightly more elevated moment of same, right? So Uranus in a sextile with Neptune has been sort of in place all year, certainly all summer. And what that is it's a meeting of the exciting, explosive, sort of idea-driven, revolutionary, rebellious, activated change. And Neptune is beliefs and ideologies, right? So we've been talking about this for a while. We're part of the revolution in the United States, and the new civil war we're in is about people suddenly and, Uranianly reacting to change that is driven by belief and ideologies, both the ones we're happy about and the ones that people are unhappy about on, both sides of that divide. Because they are both back in the signs that they were in for the last decade before they moved into fire and air for the hot summer, it's more of an internalized moment of change. And sort of connecting your personal beliefs, ideologies, and connection to spirit with your capacity to, field sudden change and trust that, where the world is going has something for all of us if you let go of the, fear of the future, which is very understandable, but still not, helpful. So, because Neptune is in Pisces again, this dynamic sextile hits us at the unconscious level. So that's what I meant by it becomes a kind of internalized experience. Scorpio is the sort of domain of the secret and hidden. And it's fascinating that there's a lot of that kind of watery energy in this new moon in Scorpio, But in 3 days, the sun's going to move into Sagittarius, and that sets up a fascinating dynamic of two energetic qualities guiding us through this whole lunar cycle. At 5:35 p.m. Pacific time on the 21st of November, at 5-ish in the afternoon Pacific time, we begin the Sagittarius mansion. Jupiter rules this mutable fire sign, and so it's the place where we learn joy, expansion. It governs things and impulses like travel, learning about other countries, learning about anything, going to school. The joy that comes from learning and expanding is all Sagittarius consciousness. But the signs evolved in an order based on the seasonality of Europe. And so in the Scorpio mansion, that's when we know that death is coming. And so we prepare for the winter, where in the olden days, not everybody survived the winter. Like, that was standard, fare. Be like, hey, see ya, enjoy the winter. I hope you're you're around in the spring. So why then would Sagittarius show up in the dead of winter? Because it's the time when it is deathly outside. Scorpio prepares us for that, but the Sagittarius mansion in the original seasonality of the zodiac unfolding included all the ways that when we are stuck indoors in smallness, because it's dangerous out there, we find the inner joy and expansions that we have right inside our little bodies. So that's how you can connect the evolution of the zodiac to the seasonality and make sense of this contradiction of the most joyful mansions happening in the darkest time of the year. Then Capricorn is what? The goal, the build, the climbing up the mountain of what we want. So that's natural for setting the intentions that we do in the dead of winter that promise the year to come has possibility. Because this is a period where new moons will have the sun in one sign and switch to another sign during the lunar cycle, is going to make all of the lunar cycles interesting for next year because they'll go in this order. This one has a juiciness because we start out setting intentions in that lugubrious place where, like I said, we're like, what do I have to die for in order to have more and more abundantly? Then a few days later, the sun says, here it is. Here's what more. And having more abundantly looks and feels like. And we're still in Pluto's Scorpio lair of deep change and transformation. Back to what I said earlier, it's an inside job. So the times are a-changing, kids, and that is not showing any type of slowdown or diminishment. Remember to pay attention in a mercurial way, because it's going to be really important to be clocking what happens during this week in your mind and perceptions, so that when Mercury gets back to this degree point going direct, we've sort of put in our order now for more information about unconscious patterns in our thinking and perception that are ready to be dropped. So pay attention, set great, powerful intentions that are courageous, and have at it.
Did you know that Michael has a daily astro alert? If you enjoy hearing the weekly astrology, you might like knowing more about each day. When you subscribe for the daily astro alerts, you'll get an in-depth explanation of the day's astrology sent right to your email. Subscriptions are only $10 a month, or you can purchase the yearly subscription at the reduced price of $100. To subscribe, head over to michaellennox.com. All right, it's dream segment time. Every week, Dr. Michael will interpret dreams that are sent in via email or take a live caller. If you would like your dream interpreted on the podcast, you can go ahead and email us at dreams@michaellennox.com. Hopefully your dream will make it onto the show. This week we have a email and dream from Lydia. And the email is titled Dreams About Pregnancy.
Love it.
So I don't know. I like that there's a theme among her dreams, and let's dive in. She says, "Hi, Dr. Michael. I've been enjoying listening to your podcast for a few years. Thank you for your teachings. I'm forever grateful.
Yay.
In the past few months, I had 4 different dreams relating to being pregnant or giving birth.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah. Interestingly, they follow the pattern of being in the early stages of pregnancy to having a baby. I love a progression. I'm always pregnant with a baby boy. The dreams felt anxious, but I feel like they reflect a relationship I ended a few months ago where I felt drained, lost in who I am, and processing post-breakup wasn't easy. The dreams are full of symbolism, and I'm curious about what you think. In the first one, I'm standing in a hospital corridor asking the doctor to check if I'm pregnant. It's not obvious that I am, but I know. I show him the outline of my belly through my white shirt, and he says it looks like I'm about 20 weeks. My mom is with me, and she seems anxious. The doctor says, "Come into my office, and we can see for sure." In the second one, I'm in an unknown city, and it's a war, and I'm on the street, and these soldiers are around me. It seems like it's winter, and it's cold, so I have to sleep on the street with others. There's a man who's with me who seems he might be a relative or a friend, but he doesn't really protect me. I'm carrying a wooden box with a newborn baby inside, and I don't know if it's mine. At one point, a soldier indicates he might want to rape me, so I get up to defend myself. I'm wearing my white nightgown and holding a rock and the newborn baby. The baby, still with closed eyes, comes out of the wooden box and crawls on the dusty floor towards me like it's trying to save me. I kick it back lightly to protect it, and it dies. The same soldier walks away like he's lost interest. It's like the baby sacrificed itself to protect me.
Yeah, right.
In the third dream, it's night. I'm pregnant, and there's a woman sitting next to me on the sofa. I think she's a midwife. We know the baby is due tomorrow, so we need to get ready. She agrees to help me with the labor. In the last dream, I have a newborn baby. A boy, and I'm a single parent, and I'm quite anxious. Mom and Dad are with me helping, and I feel sad because I remember my ex and that he was a single parent. My baby is young, but he's super smart and already talking, which amazes me. In the next scene, my baby is a grown man lying down fully naked. He has longer hair and a huge penis. Thank you so much. Lydia. It's kind of a crazy ending.
Juicy. Well, yeah, but
but symbolism.
I got very excited by the ending. So
yeah, so it's cool. I like the progression.
I love a progression too because it tells a story.
Right.
One of the commonalities between interpreting a dream and interpreting a moment of transits on someone's chart is that it's about matching a story, right? So the person who comes for a reading, they know the story of their lives. That's the practical story. Before they come, I've already read their entire energetic story in a way that I can hold, whatever that means. So the reading is like air quotes successful when I can feel that their story and my story are matching, the client's on the same page, listening to my energetic version, good reading. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the dream. The dream is a story. that the dreamer holds as the story of the dream. I'm just listening and hearing the story behind the story simultaneously to listening to it. And so a progression tells a story that you can interpret with more clarity about what it's revealing because it has a progression. So the baby is clearly about the consciousness of relationship, and a new one is concomitant with having ended a relationship. And then the psyche is saying, all right, we're not going to do that kind of relationship anymore. This is a moment where you're going to do new relationship, and you got to start within, because such things always start within. Birthing and pregnancy in a dream is always about new projects, ideas, or consciousness that we're holding and gestating, haven't quite stepped into, but it's like done. It's a done deal that Lydia is like at that place. So I do think that the dreams reflect a process of Lydia starting to go toward a kind of integration experience that allows an old idea of relationship to die so that she can birth a new one. And we start with the idea that she's in the process already, but it's not clear, it's not obvious. It's like I'm not showing, it's not obvious that I'm pregnant kind of thing is also reflective of Lydia's being in a process where something new is growing, but there's anxiety about it, there's uncertainty. Am I even pregnant? Meaning, am I really successfully processing my old ideas so that I can bring something new? Mom is anxious, and that's sort of the generational sort of approaches to relationship are in the room. We relate to our lovers vis-a-vis who our parents were and what they taught us what love looks like. So the presence of Lydia's parents to me have only to do with how she has learned what love looks like by virtue of being raised by the people that raised her. So in this moment of confusion and here, I can show you if you look real close, if I really sort of tell you intimately the details of something changing in me, you might know. But we're still confused. And the doctor presence is like the authority in Lydia governing that the transformation is going to lead to healing. But in dream one, we're still confused. Now, with each successive dream, we move into shadow. And it starts in dream two, where the war, the conflict, is the shadow. So we're in territory, we're in deep conflict. Soldiers are all about the warrior archetype that divide everything into right and wrong. So that's the black and white thinking, maybe old ideas that love looks like this, but not like that. Or anything where it's gray area and dividing things up into simplistic, yes or no boxes doesn't work. The man in this dream reflects old ideas about what love might have been or what men she might have attracted in the past, but she's recognizing those old choices don't protect me. Those are not the right choices for mates because I want someone who's going to protect me. Now, this whole fabulous rape threat and baby in a box is so juicy in that dreamlike way. Rape in life, very, very bad. But in a dream, it symbolizes an integration that occurs either suddenly and with some violence, meaning an abrupt change that's painful and difficult. So no matter what your feelings about this are in a dream image, it's always going to be about change and transformation. It's just not the kind that comes from, in this dream, we know it's not the right kind, right? Because there's first of all, the baby doesn't live. It's also not born out of her in a way. It's not an organic new idea. Box suggests structures that already existed. Break out of the box is a perfect theme for this dream. Birthing something new that's in the old fucking box is just gonna die because that consciousness is already dead.
Right.
And if you fight for what you want, if you fight warrior, battle, soldiers, if you fight for something that's already dead, this dream says it's to be dead. Kick it back, it'll die. This ain't your transformation moment. So now in dream 3, we've moved away from chasing the masculine, looking for some kind of a satisfying experience, and she turns within to the feminine, the part of her that knows how to midwife a new consciousness. I love that part of the dream because all of the others so far have said, here's the problem, here's the problem, here's the problem. And we first get a solution to the possibility of a successful birth when Lydia trusts her feminine principle consciousness, whatever that means for you, Lydia. So this fourth and final, fabulously juicy dream that would leave people's, jaws down at a dinner party is the good news dream. We can remove the idea that you're sad because your ex was a single parent. What's that? That ain't your soul or your consciousness speaking, honey. That's your little mind going, boo-hoo.
Right.
This must be about him. Right? But he's not in the dream, nor are your parents. Like you're a single parent in the dream. That's important to me because it relates to dream 3. This is about her birthing something new that's hers and hers alone. Single parent describes that. And then mom and dad in the room, to me, is, like she said, I feel sad. My ex, was a single parent, is a bait and switch. She feels sad to me because in her psyche, she's divorcing her mom and dad and the patterns of love connection that they helped model for her. So to me, that's why they are there feeling sad, because she's like saying no to that. I will be a single parent and grow something that I feel confident about. Now we've got masculine energy that's integrated. It came out of her. But it's nice and small and young so she can care for it and nurture it. And so then when the baby is grown, which is a lovely symbol of, hey, Lydia, this is your baby, help nurture it and grow it. It grows and it's got this fabulous sort of image of passion and sexual vibrance. Remember, it ain't like some dude's penis. It's like the penis in Lydia's consciousness of creating a new imago. She's creating a new internal figure of what a love object can be.
Yeah.
There's a whole branch of couples work that's called imagotherapy. So this baby and this man with a big dick, I was tempted to ask what she prefers in real life because not all women like big dicks, but it's her inner imago that's a beautiful projection screen that when a human man lines up and the imago projection lands, that becomes, ooh, he's interesting. And the whole set of dreams is describing a process where she is changing and transformation, changing and transforming that capacity to stand in someplace more integrated and attract love and partnership that's much more sustaining.
Thank you for listening to Conscious Embodiment, Astrology and Dreams with Dr. Michael Lennox. You can find us on Apple Music, the iHeartRadio app, and anywhere you find your favorite shows. Head on over to michaellennox.com for information on astrology readings, the daily Astro Alert subscription, upcoming classes, and to join the mailing list. Join the mailing list.